welcome to another episode of Real Time Recorded. This is Dave Michaels from Talking Points. I'm with
Zeus Caraval and ZK Research.
Right, Zeus. It's been a busy time. In fact, I haven't seen you in a while. We've both been on the road, and unusually we're on different roads this time. So why don't you start things off a little bit with, you went to Mobile World Congress this year.
I did. Now, first, there's too many events, and so the vendor world needs to get their act together and create a master spreadsheet of when all the events are and try and not overlap with each other, because there's been a lot of overlap and there's a lot more coming too from the invites have gone. Now, Mobile World Congress, it's an interesting event. It's just 95,000 of your favorite friends. Actually, I ran into Eric Hanselman there from 451, and he said, "I hate this event, but I can't miss it." Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the feeling people have there. Obviously AI was the big theme there. And really AI at all parts of the telco ecosystem, from, cloud to operations. One of the themes though, Dave.
Well, you're kind of ruining the rest of this episode, because AI is going to be the theme of every event for this episode and for the foreseeable episodes.
Yes. But one of the things that I was looking for to hope get answered, which really hasn't been answered yet, is it seems like ever since I've been going to Mobile World Congress, all we've talked about is the need for telcos to create these additional revenue generating services, right? Or they're becoming marginalized, they're becoming the pipes. But no one can tell me what those services are or how AI fits into that. And, I asked Rami Rahim, from CEO of Juniper, and he said he believes that inferencing at the edge is a big opportunity for telcos. And I agree with that, because they own that edge footprint. But I'm not so sure the telcos really know how to monetize that either, right? So it's not like, if you wanted to go buy AI, would you go buy it from Verizon? Probably not, right? You'd look to Amazon first, and they have their edge play too. So it's the telcos have been asked to spend more and more money on upgrading infrastructure, and they're not really they haven't really seen those returns. And so what we see is this cyclic trend where telcos announce they're going to spend. The companies who sell to telcos, their stock goes up, and then they're not seeing the return, and then they cut spending, and then all those stocks go down, and then we wind up in this circle over and over again. And so that's something this industry needs to figure out. And I think they need to almost take a step back and figure out how to, a little more through hand holding, help them figure out how to create those services. Vonage announced a lot of their network APIs there, right?
Yep.
Through Nexmo. And that's, a great opportunity for them. And they've got some partners doing it, with Verizon and, Deutsche Telekom. And I think that's a good model where, although the telcos don't own the infrastructure then, but it is a good model where they can resell those services and actually make money off them. But that to me is still the, for all the talk of private 5G and cloud and AI, if we can't figure out how to help the telcos make more money, then this industry is going to continue to see, price compression, which it has for the last 20 years.
Well, I think your conclusion there about this industry, I think you're referring to cellular, but I think it's true of all of enterprise communications. Everyone's got this FOMO on AI, and everyone's investing heavily in AI. Everyone's rushing to AI. We're going to cover a lot of events today, but all these events are about AI. And it's not clear yet how this is going to be monetized, and how, I'm actually a little concerned that, we're overextending into this AI bit. Part of me gets it. Part of me says, I see it's changing everything. But part of me says, if every vendor is going down this path, not all of them are going to make it. And there should be some opportunity here to diversify and figure out some other strategies here, more so than usual.
And a lot of vendors just give it away for free, right? So you put all this R&D money into it. And the one who's trying to charge, Microsoft, gets criticized soundly for it, right? So somewhere along the line, there's got to be something that creates a price uplift, right?
Yeah, Microsoft's actually doing pretty well revenue-wise. I don't know what they're spending on, and their, of course, their investment into OpenAI. But yeah, they have, but they're lowering their price, right? And they keep on opening up who can get access to it. All right, well, let's move on to the next event. This one I went to. It was the RingCentral Analyst event. And I would say,
news out of that, right?
I'm sorry, what's that?
They didn't release any news out of there, right?
Well, all of these events have, this is the problem with our recording here. All these events have some NDA news that are mostly secret until Enterprise Connect, and this video is before that. So we have to talk a little bit at a high level, but I would say that the common themes at most of these events, particularly the Ring event we're talking about now, is CX investments, and in this case, Ring CX, and AI investments, and in this case, what's it called, RingSense. So we've got a pretty consistent theme along those lines. It was nice to see Esther Yoon. She was back from maternity leave, and I'm going to call her out because she called me out. She got up on stage and talked about how my newsletters kept her up to date. So good for her, and I appreciate that, Esther. And she talked a lot about RingSense. She talked about that RingCentral. We often don't think about it, but they've got 20 consecutive quarters of 99.999 five nines of uptime.
Yeah.
And at least that's what they claim. I haven't checked it myself, but that's what they claim. And they're getting some good use cases out of generative AI with RingSense, and so that's good to hear. RingSense. That's right. I was also really interested to hear about their expansion into events. So the other kind of products are called Ring, like RingSense and RingCX, but events is called RingCentral Events, and that's because they acquired the assets from Hopin, the events house. But I actually really excited about events, and I think that this is going to be a high growth area for RingCentral, Cisco, and Zoom, who have all made significant investments around events. Let's see, what else could I say here? So that's actually three products that they're betting significant high growth out of: RingCX, RingSense, and RingCentral Events. And they're using generative AI across all three. They're using AI across all three, and it was a good story. They put on a good event.
Yeah, it seemed it.
The other one was right after it. A lot of us just jumped on a plane to go to the next event, which was 8x8.
At least they kept you on the same coast, right?
I'm sorry, what?
At least they kept you on the same coast, so that was nice of them.
Yeah, they kept us on the same coast, which was nice. Not the same city, so there was a flight. But I was really confused why 8x8 was doing theirs at the San Diego Zoo. I thought that was the most obscure location to do an analyst event. But it worked out really well. I have to say, San Diego's a great town. It's a small town, so you get, the airport's close to everything, and the San Diego Zoo is easy to access. And it turns out San Diego Zoo is a customer, and so we had a customer testimonial. We had a very unique location. It was easy to the airport. So yeah, kudos to them for coming up with a fairly clever location on that. Samuel is the CEO there, and Samuel Wilson, and he used to be the CFO. So a lot of his update was financial. And I don't know. I can't figure out what these financial guys are ever talking about. He was talking about TTM, non-GAAP operating profits, whatever the hell that is. But all in all, I think the financials are looking pretty good there. They had some impressive stuff around CSAT. Last year they made that pivot from UCaaS first to CCaaS first. We've seen that from other companies like Dialpad and really even Cisco has done that. And so they're primarily targeting their base and trying to upsell them on CCaaS, but I don't think they should do that, in my opinion. They have a really unique partnership with Cognigy, fully integrated, and I think they can go into any contact center with Cognigy. They got one of the only ones with a multi-tenant license on Cognigy, and so I think they can go into any contact center, upsell them on Cognigy, and then try to sell them integrated CCaaS services. The big news there, and you actually wrote about it. The big news there was 8x8 Engage, which is kind of a continuation of their XCaaS theme, contact center for non-traditional agents. And so you wrote about that, and they also talked about. They also announced proactive outreach, which is kind of their integration with their own CPaaS capabilities, integrated CPaaS for both notification and two-way messaging services. They also talked I think this is really important, they talked about their customer interaction data platform, and a lot of companies are talking AI. Not very many companies are talking about their data platform. And so that's enabling, the smarter decision talk, smarter AI, smarter insights, contextual awareness. And they've also got a really strong partnership with Microsoft and Teams. And so a number of good things coming out of that event.
Yeah, what I liked about Engage though, that product was they're not trying to just sell a full contact center stack to non-contact center agents. And that's been a trend we've followed for a while, right? More and more non-agents are using contact center seats. But if I give you a full contact center dashboard, that's completely overkill. If I'm if I'm a field service person, I need access to maybe three things, right? So they've created these more customized interfaces for different workers. And I know I've talked to them about this, and they are planning on trying to come up with some kind of low code, no code interface where you can almost create your own interface into the product, right? And that ultimately would allow everybody to access that. And so I think their ability, if they want to compete more broadly, right, and start to try and work their way into other accounts, they could do so through those non-agents, right? So if Nice or Five9 or whoever's on the agent side, go to the Salesforce, right? Go to customer success and maybe backdoor your way into those accounts that way. And so they're really, I think, an underappreciated company in our space. They're fairly small, but they've been pretty nimble. They're very good technically. I think, they just, not a lot of people know about them though. So
what I noticed is they're happy. I mean, everyone there was just so happy. And I think this they've talked about this for a while. This is their XCAS vision, right? So when I think of XCAS, I think of algebra, solve for X, and they've talked about this non-agent contact center for a while. Engage is really their productization of that vision, and I think it's the first iteration of that, and it's really nice. And to your point, I think what people might be missing with Engage is that it's not that different than what the whole industry is kind of talking about, because the whole industry is kind of going from contact center, which is very customer service focused, to CX or customer experience. And what's the difference between contact center or customer service and customer experience is that the customer experience involves lots more touch points. It includes marketing, it includes service, it includes delivery, it includes pre-sale, it includes post-sale, and all these different things. And so that includes, by definition, non-traditional agents. And so it's not that far off from where the industry is going. I mean, it's actually very much in line with where the industry is going, but they've kind of found more of a unique way of doing it.
Yeah, good for them.
And that brings us to the next event. I was actually kind of jealous of some of the social stuff you were doing, but you were at HP Amplify.
Yeah, that's their partner conference, and this is HP, the printer poly a PC company, not HPE. The other half of that. So
Yep.
they're a very good company, and they obviously with AI being the theme. They rolled out a bunch of AI PCs, and this is one I've had my hard time getting my head around. It's like, why do I need to run AI locally on a PC?
If you can figure it out, please tell me, because I haven't figured it out yet.
Well, but it's funny. I asked a lot of the partners about it, and they were all pretty excited about it. And there are look, Dave, I don't think you and I are going to run AI using ChatGPT in the cloud or Adobe Firefly in the cloud or things like that. But if you're a creative person, having that horsepower locally actually is better. Also, one of the partners I talked to who's out of India said, look, you guys in America think bandwidth's everywhere, but there's a lot of places where it isn't. And so you do need to run these things locally. Also from Worldwide, I was talking to them about this. They do a lot of HP stuff, and so they do a lot of government stuff. So when you get into regulated verticals, federal space, they do want to keep their AI locally. So I don't think AI PCs we're all going to have, well, we might one day just because the price curve will come down. But I don't think it's going to dominate, going to create this massive PC refresh. But I do think there are a number of verticals to do it. I know Jensen Huang from NVIDIA felt strongly about it. He showed up in person. Now, I've always said that there's not an event he won't show up in person to. But he called it the biggest innovation in PC since Windows 95, which is probably a fair statement, right? That we haven't had a lot of innovation in PCs. Um, the one thing I was looking for, which I still haven't seen from HP though, is the tighter integration between HP and Poly. And so they talk a lot about the things that are coming, right? I can
Yep.
walk into a conference room, and if I've got my HP PC, it's going to light up the environment. And while Poly's continued down the innovation path, right? They got better speaker tracking, they got better audio, multi-camera technologies. They announced a new center of the room camera. There hasn't been a lot of HP Poly integration. And so I don't think we've seen the big, the uplift from that acquisition yet. So
And that might be why Poly has that part of the part of HP that has Poly has a new leadership, and so maybe that's
yeah,
why, maybe not. I don't know, but I saw Poly at ISE show in January in Barcelona, uh, and they were still showing bundles, right? They were still showing bundles, and bundles make sense. I mean, a lot of this stuff requires compute and requires good speakers and requires good cameras, particularly the Microsoft conference rooms. So nothing wrong with bundles. More power to them. But I think you're right. There's a lot of opportunity here for some new generation of a combined product. And as far as I know, it's coming, and I think it's going to be exciting when it comes. Um, the I looked at Lenovo, and they have like a ridiculous monitor with a bolt-on camera on top, and said it's an all-in-one. It's like this is I could do this with crazy glue. And so I think that I think Poly's ahead in many regards, and I think, well, actually I should say HP's ahead, because I think there's a big opportunity here for this. And Apple's got a fantastic, it's expensive, but a fantastic monitor with a camera that does auto framing
yeah.
and noise, audio and speakers
I think it's like
built.
$5,000 or something like that.
It's actually not that expensive, but yeah, it is expensive. I've recommended it to other people, and they roll their eyes at me and say, yeah, maybe you could afford that, but whatever.
By the way, the one thing they didn't announce, and we were sort of chuckling about this at first, before the event started, some of the other analysts that were talking about, oh, I wonder if they're going to roll out AI printers, right? Like, what can you? And then they did. They talked about them there, um, and I really didn't understand what an AI printer was. And then they gave us a demo where you ever printed a page from a web page or a spreadsheet, and you get like 19 pages of one column or something like that.
Yeah.
It actually fixes that. It understands what it is you're trying to print, and will like reformat stuff on the fly and actually print what you see. And so all these websites that are done in WordPress and things that have these different frames and come up looking funny, they can actually take care of now. So
That's a great example. That's a great use case for AI. I mean,
and it's
yeah,
invisible AI, which I know you like, right?
exactly. Invisible AI that solves a real problem, and I, yeah, we need more of those good examples. That's a great
Yeah,
one. I'm surprised. I'm surprised it came from a printer, but now if it'll just do it with affordable ink, then we'll be really happy.
yeah,
Okay, so that brings us to the last event that we're going to cover in this video, the 5.9 Analyst Summit. And they did theirs, I guess it was just last week, or is it 2 weeks ago, something like that. And it was a great event. This is the 5.9 team kind of coming together, because the last event they did in Portugal, where I am now, and where you were at when they did their event, was Mike was brand new, kind of a CEO, and so now we've got basically his company with a lot of his leadership changes in place, and it was nice to see the way 5.9 is developing, and they're developing quite well, I might add.
yeah. No, I think they've they're really, in this contact center space, kind of a machine. They really, there's very little downside surprise in the quarters. There's not a tremendous amount of upside surprise, but they tend to just hit their number quarter over quarter. And I've talked to Barry, their CFO, about this, and joked with him that he's got the easiest job in the valley, because he's got 90% of his number, baked in before the quarter even starts. And so they've been a good execution machine. I think Jonathan Rosenberg's been a very good kind of industry spokesperson for what AI can do versus just a 5.9 spokesperson. And I don't think the industry's really seen the uplift from AI yet. We talk, like you were saying earlier, it's one of these things we talk about, but we'll see where customers adopt, and how they adopt and what they're willing to pay. But that to me is the big mystery still, is how do you monetize AI and create a higher seat price than what you're getting right now? And I didn't, I don't know if they talked about that there, but that's, from every contact center vendor, that's still TBD.
Yeah, no. So let me give you a little overview of the event that occurred there. Brooklyn kicked it off. Mike Brooklyn kicked it off. I got to say which Brooklyn. There's two of them. Mike Brooklyn kicked off the event, and he's sticking with his joy of CX messaging, and I think that his vision is becoming fairly clear in what he wants to accomplish and what he's doing. I mentioned leadership changes. I don't know if you caught that. I missed it, but Andy got promoted to chief operating officer.
Yeah,
Yeah, good. Yeah, and we've got Nikki there as the CMO now, and you probably saw they just announced. I guess it was on Monday. They just announced Steve Blood is moving from Gartner over there to as an evangelist. That's always an interesting move when the Gartner guys move around, because they have so much knowledge of the competitors. I know that when Simon moved to Avaya a few years ago, that a lot of the competitors were like, they know everything about us. That's not fair.
yeah. Well, then they should have hired.
There you go. Yeah. So we've got Steve Blood starting up over there, or having started up over there. They're coming off an incredible year of a lot of growth, significant expansion in R&D, and you mentioned Jonathan there, and so. I was a little worried about Jonathan. He came from Cisco. He kind of followed Rowan over. Rowan left, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to hang out. What he's going to do? It's not, not what he signed up for. But I think I think he's having a field day with generative AI, and is just having a blast. He's playing right in the right spot. He seemed energized. He seemed really excited about what they're talking about. Showed us some incredible demos and technology, which I think many people will be seeing soon. And so it was actually a really good event. And there were also lots of quiet improvements. Things like their web messenger, which was pretty limited, went through some significant upgrades, and I didn't hear about those I think it was just I think they were too embarrassed to say how limited their web messenger was, and so they just quietly upgraded it and didn't tell anybody. But so that's fantastic. A lot of stuff going on there. Of course, a lot of AI. I was surprised they gave a lot of attention to workforce engagement solutions. Both their partnership with Verint is getting much stronger and better, and their own workforce engagement solutions that Five9 has were pretty impressive too. So they're just firing on every cylinder: sales expansion, go to market, hiring, etc. It's just a really nice story coming out of Five9.
Yeah, you wonder on the workforce engagement side, Dave, more and more companies are rolling that up themselves, and what the future holds for Verint, right? Like, I know obviously Verint's trying to go down the CCaaS path themselves, but NICE has probably been the poster child for companies that have been able to monetize selling that themselves, right? And I don't think that's been lost on the competitors. So, we'll see how long these partnerships last. Obviously, they're very tough to decouple, but that's been an interesting trend to watch. On the Steve Blood side, good for him. It's all I can say. I from all the analysts I talk to that work at Gartner now, I don't think it's a great place to work anymore, right? They don't let the analysts travel. They become very metric driven, very, very heavy emphasis on reports and inquiry. And so I don't think it's a fun place to work anymore. And so I'm not surprised he left. And I think it's a good role for him. When analysts become marketers, I think I always raise my eyebrow a little bit, because we're very good at critiquing marketing, but I don't know if we really know the operational side of marketing, right? And even at when Simon was in Avaya, he really played more an evangelist role, right? He was on stage, he was talking and thing, and Kim Howland did a lot of the operational stuff, and so to me, this seems like a good role for him, where he's doing more market intelligence and evangelism. I also think the fact that he's European based is a big deal too, because I do know that's an area that Five9 is looking to grow.
Yeah, those are all great points, and I failed to mention that when Jonathan presented, he also called out how the Insider Report covers important stuff. So that's two call outs in 5 events. That's not bad, not
Yeah,
bad.
it's a good hit rate.
So,
And if people want to
so
learn
this is
more
our
about
last
your
video
view,
before Enterprise Connect. You got any thoughts on Enterprise Connect coming up?
yeah, well, I'm going to NVIDIA's event next week, right? So GTC's this week. And then Enterprise Connect, it's, obviously it'll be the AI UC show, right? So I'm sure we're going to hear
And
lots of,
CX, don't forget CX.
yeah, well, it'll be, yeah, AI, but AI will be the main theme there, I'm sure. So, um, and the keynotes are generally the same players. I'm anxious to see if they actually, how much they can show of all the work they've been doing with AI. I know they've all been feverishly working on stuff, so we should see some good stuff now. So, but to me, the
Yeah,
big thing, Dave, is adoption. Like, can we actually hear about customer adoption? Right? And we've been talking about this stuff for a while.
We just announced the innovation showcase for Enterprise Connect, and earlier in the year when we picked the theme, the obvious theme to pick was generative AI, and I was really pushing back with the Enterprise Connect team, saying, I'd like to do something a little broader. So we ended up doing CX, but guess what? Turned out to be a generative AI innovation showcase. So we've got 5 companies presenting there on Monday. Their generative AI solutions on CX solutions. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of AI at the show. But it's always such a great event because it's really the only event where so much of the industry comes together and you can kind of see new themes. I mean, that was the first time we saw Copilot last year. It was the first time I saw Copilot last year. First time I saw it ever was at last year's Enterprise Connect. And a lot of times there's just some really important things that pop up that are going to be important for the rest of the year. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure I'll see you there as rushing between meetings.
I probably, based on my meeting schedule, I think where I'll see you is all the after events is probably the most likely place.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very good.
And
Uh,
again, while the
no,
vendors need to get their act together and create a calendar for their events, even the Enterprise Connect events, there's a lot of overlap between those.
so you mentioned NVIDIA, and so I'll put you on the spot here. We're not a financial advisors by any means, but their stock finally went down for like a moment recently, and it's gone nothing but up, straight up, exponentially up for the last several months, or maybe a year. I'm not even sure. I've been saying that the whole industry is kind of overextending into AI. Every tech company we cover is in one way, directly or indirectly, consuming NVIDIA chips more so than ever before, and that's why their stock has gone up. Do you think we're at peak hype, peak hype cycle, or do you think we've still got a ways to run?
Hype may be peaked, but I think from an adoption perspective, I think we got a ways to run. And the thing is, for NVIDIA, it doesn't matter how you adopt AI, whether it's in your car, whether your doctor uses it, right? They win.
Yes.
And I know AMD's kind of pushing them a little bit, and ARM's got a good processor. But the thing that people don't realize about NVIDIA is it's not their GPU that makes them successful. I don't even know why we call it a GPU anymore. It's like the term graphic is kind of ridiculous, but it's CUDA. It's the software libraries. It's the fact that if you're an AI developer, they give you the whole kit and caboodle, right? And it makes it a lot easier. And that's one thing Intel never figured out was how to, make life easier for the developers. They said, "Here's your processors. You go figure it out." And so NVIDIA became the de facto standard because they're very, very easy to work with, because NVIDIA puts a lot of money into creating these turnkey systems. So if you want to do AI in healthcare, they've got a whole system, a whole reference architecture that then they give to their partners, right? Their Supermicro and HP and companies like that. And then, but if you want a drive kit for a car, they have one of those. And if you want one for manufacturing, they got one of those. And so they invest a lot of money into trying to understand how the ecosystem around them can work together, and then they build the reference architectures, and that's really what's driven success. And so if you believe that we're going to have more AI than less AI, then it doesn't really matter how it gets adopted, whether it's on computers, in the cloud, on board a car or whatever. They're going to win. And I think I don't think it's long before they're going to be the most valuable company in the world by a long shot. So
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll wrap up this longer than usual episode, but we covered a lot, and I think it was a really good episode, actually. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in person at Enterprise Connect.
yes, see you there.